I've never seen such a skilled craftsman before. He used a trowel to dig 2 rectangular trenches on either side of a soil pit. Then, he poured a bit of cement mortar into the trenches and placed a steel mesh inside. At last, I truly understood what it means to be a master of craftsmanship. Next, he continued reinforcing the steel mesh by attaching additional steel bars around it. He then placed a rectangular iron frame over it and secured it tightly with steel wires. By this point, you've probably figured out what he's building, right? That's right, he's constructing a steel cage. With a series of skillful maneuvers, he quickly completed the assembly of the second steel cage, repeating the same process for the rectangular trenches. Once both cages were firmly secured, he found some fixed bearings and installed bolts on both sides. Then, he inserted a section of iron pipe into the bearings, connecting them together. After that, he retrieved a motor and installed it inside a wooden box. He then connected the motor to the central shaft of the bearings, powered it up, and switched it on. As a result, the motor began rotating the central shaft within the bearings. Moving forward, he placed a mold inside the completed steel cage and poured cement mortar into it. Using a rod, he stirred the cement until the mold was completely filled. Then, he placed a semi-cylindrical block on top. He continued the same motor and bearing installation process on the other steel cage, following the same steps. However, the key difference this time was that he only needed to place the bearing assembly on top. Once the cement had hardened and set, he removed the mold, and all the supports were detached. Using bridge piers as reference points, he placed a curved mold on one side. He then inserted steel bars into the mold and welded their ends to the central shaft of the bearings. At this point, can you guess what he's building? Leave a comment and see if you got it right. After completing the welding, he placed a steel plate on either side, making the next steps more convenient. Then, he poured cement mortar into the mold and used a trowel to smooth it out. Once poured, he waited a few days for the cement to harden before removing the mold. At this moment, you'd see that just a little effort is enough to lift the curved bridge deck. After lifting it, he supported it with a wooden beam and continued working. The next step was similar, placing a curved mold and securing the steel bars. Then, he tightened the steel mesh and stretched some steel wires between the 2 curved bridge decks. Following that, he began pouring cement mortar onto the bridge deck. Once it had fully hardened, he removed the mold. Next, he inserted several steel bars into the pit and placed a mold around each one. Then, he poured cement mortar into the molds. Since he still needed to construct more bridge piers, be sure to watch the full video for details. Even though he never finished elementary school, he learned masonry from a young age, and his skills have become widely recognized. People seek him out to build models. From one end of the village to the other, projects like sea-crossing bridges and railway bridges pose no challenge for him. Today, a wealthy client invited him to build a drawbridge in his garden. In the final step, he painted the bridge with a beautiful finish, installed railings, and secured an iron chain to the bridge piers. After more than half a month, the drawbridge was completed, perfectly replicating the real structure. With just the flick of a switch, the bridge deck can be raised, allowing cargo ships to pass through effortlessly. What do you think of his craftsmanship and creativity? If you had to give him a score out of 100, what would it be? Leave a comment below.